So when I first got to prison, they sat everyone down and they taught us about PREA, P-R-E-A, and it stands for Prison Rape Elimination Act. It was passed in 2003, and basically if anyone makes a sexual advancement towards you, whether it be a guard or inmate, an investigation takes place to see if the PREA Act was violated. Of course, with there being over 1,000 inmates, I met someone, and he was special. I really liked this guy. We ended up messing around, and we ended up getting caught, and we both went to the hole on a PREA charge, and it took 2 weeks for them to investigate. And let me tell you, the hole is no joke. You're literally in a tiny ass room with just the toilet and bed, and there's a little slit in the door, and that's how they feed you. They just push your food in. So the prison does their investigation, and they find that nothing was violated. So they send me and the guy back up to the floor, but they switch us floors. So I'm now on the 6th floor, and he's on the 4th. So that way, I guess we can't see each other, which sucked. But I look back, and I'm like, was it worth it? Yes, it most definitely was. And I've tried to find this guy. He had a ice hold because he was from like some Asian country. I don't know. But I've looked for his Facebook, Instagram, anything, and I just can't find him anywhere. And I don't feel comfortable giving out his name. But if one day maybe he happens to see this, just know I'm still waiting for you. But yeah, being in prison, especially if you're openly gay, you're like a cat in heat. I mean, you're just surrounded by the same sex all the time, all day. Shit, I think I got more attention in prison than I do in the free world. Real shit. Would I ever go back though? Hell no. Most definitely not. The food was shit. The officers treat you like shit. The only good thing is maybe that I got some action. Don't go to prison, ladies and gentlemen, unless you're lonely.
I think I'm like really way too emotional. So basically, like, I needed a new phone, okay? Because I dropped my phone. It was done. And I don't know if you know this, but phones are very expensive, like way too expensive. And I wanted to get a new one, but I couldn't like afford to get a nicer one. But I was like, what if I use one of those apps where you trust a stranger to sell you something and you meet them in a parking lot and they sell you a phone? Lo and behold, what do I find? An iPhone XR for like $200. And before you're all like judgmental and dare I say rude, I love a good deal, and that seemed like a good deal. So I was gonna take the deal, okay? I was gonna do it, and it was this guy, and he seemed like a businessman, okay? He seemed like it because he was selling all of these electronics. And I should have noticed that these were all, you know, taken in the same weird place, like the back of his car. And like every screen was cracked. But I was like, obviously no one's going to sell their best electronic devices. But basically, I send this guy a text and I'm like, hey, I would love to buy your iPhone XR. And he messages back immediately. And his profile picture is very Halloween, very on theme right now, you know, because it's Chucky. Like, it's just fucking and his name was Stitches. He messages me back and he's basically like, yeah, let's meet up right now. Where are you at? I basically tell him that I am in this part of Houston and that we should meet up at HEB. He says, sure, I'll meet you in 10 minutes. I really need to do it tonight. It has to be tonight. I was cool with this because I just really wanted to get my phone. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll meet up there. Pull up, we get like inside the HEB and we meet just right in the center. And it was weird because like we were calling him over and over and over and he wouldn't answer. And we're like, we're in the middle. Hey, are you gonna come? Like, please meet us, X, Y, and Z. He comes and he actually has somebody else with him. And the first thing we say to them is like, oh my gosh, you look so young. One of the kids will not look at us. Basically the interaction lasts like probably total 1 minute. And then we get home because that is where my SIM card is. We get home, we put the SIM card in, turn on the phone. I try to make a call to my boyfriend to see if it's working. It rings all right. Oh, it rings, but not to my boyfriend. It's a recorded line with my phone carrier's lawyers, and they're letting me know that they will use this as evidence, and they're recording this entire conversation. So I'll explain in part 2. Okay. So where we left off, I am now currently on a recorded line with my phone company's lawyers. I start freaking the fuck out When I had put my SIM card in and I had done this call immediately, I ignored a message on my phone that basically was letting me know I had just been sold a stolen phone. Oh. Yeah, things were gonna go bad for me. So basically, I don't know if you know what happens when you put your SIM card into an iPhone that I guess is in lost iPhone mode. It automatically calls the authorities. I don't know. It basically lets you know that they know where you are. They know where the phone is. This phone is stolen. And if you don't get this taken care of with your company, all of your service on your company is just like not working. So in that moment, the moment I put that SIM card in, my service just stopped working. The only people I could ever call on my phone were Cricket's lawyers. So basically, what do I have to do? I have to call the police and I have to turn the phone in. That's what they basically tell me. And that's the only way that I can get rid of this stolen piece of, what do they call it? I believe they call it, oh yes, evidence. Evidence in a crime. We'll catch up on this. So the police come, they pick up the phone from me because you can't keep it. And I asked them and I'm like, hey, so are you guys gonna get it to the, girl who got her phone stolen? And they look at me and they're like, no, she's probably gonna, sit in evidence. And I was like, oh, so probably can't even get my money back, huh? And they're like, yeah, no. It's kind of a everybody loses situation. I mean, except for the guy that I paid to sell me, I guess, a phone I could not keep. Oh my God, wait, I did this wrong. Okay, hold on. That's it. That's what it's supposed to look like. The guy never deleted his little offer up. He never deleted his profile. It was still on there. And maybe I'm the dumb one. Maybe I shouldn't have gone and met some guy at an HEB at like 10:45 at night who only had like pictures of like, okay, I'll say it, broken electronics in his, backseat. And sure, he had like a, Chucky the doll, like profile picture. And sure, his name was Stitches. But I just like to see the best in people. He could have just like loved Halloween. But no, he just robbed me.
The way that I left the church was somewhat dramatic. After working there for 12 years, in 2017, I ran away in the middle of the night and got on an airplane. I knew that if I waited and talked to anybody about it, I would be put under watch, I would not be physically allowed to leave, and I would be convinced to stay in one way or another. So I just didn't give anyone that chance and just did everything that I could to vanish. I didn't know anyone in Minnesota. I didn't have any family here. There shouldn't have been any way for them to find me, but because they have unlimited money and unlimited resources, it took them less than a week for them to send my little brother after me. My best guess is that they had put some kind of tracking software in my laptop because after I wiped my laptop, I didn't have any more problems. And I'm running out of time, so part 2 coming right up. It only took a week or two for them to find me after I moved to Minnesota. Luckily, I was at work when my brother showed up the first time. My roommate called me and told me that he had gotten into our apartment building and was pretending to be a delivery person looking for me to deliver a package. Of course, my roommate told him that he didn't know who I was and he was going to call the cops if he didn't leave. So like 2 days later, as I was coming home at 5 a.m. from a Tinder date, I'm walking up to the locked front door and my little brother comes barreling out of the parking lot and grabs me. So he has me in this bear hug. He's stopping me from getting into my apartment. He's crying. He's saying he was worried about me. And I go, let go of me. I'm not a Scientologist anymore. So we're standing there outside my apartment. The door is locked. My brother has me in a bear hug. He's freaking out. I'm freaking out. I go, let go of me. Get off me. What are you doing here? I didn't invite you. You're not welcome here. I'm not a Scientologist anymore. Leave me alone. And he goes, what are you talking about? You've gone insane. And I'm like, no, I have not. And you need to leave. You need to leave right now. The way that Scientology works, I knew for a fact that he had somebody else sitting in his car in the parking lot, and I needed to get inside my locked apartment immediately, or else somebody else was going to come and I would be outnumbered. So I shoved him away and I told him to get off the property or I was going to call the cops, and I went inside and I locked the door and I had a fucking meltdown. I did file a police report. It's on file. I could probably find it if I took the time to do so. But that was it. I never saw or heard from him again. It has been like 3-4 years now, and yeah, I hope he's doing good.
When Dakota was 18, he was in a car accident. My son did not drink. He did not smoke. My son hardly had any friends. He wasn't the star football player. He was a very big computer nerd. The kid built computers from starting at the age of 12. He was just my little nerdy kid reading at college level in middle school. Well, he got off of school and asked if he'd go out with his friends, so he did. And I said, all right, whatever. He was 18. He had a job. He had a car. So I went to bed. I get a call at 12:30 at night from a Detective Smith, who informed me my child was in a car accident. I need to get to the hospital immediately. And I don't even know what I said. I panicked. I was screaming through the house, calling for my sister. All I know is that I got to the hospital. And when I walked in, I said my son's name and I was looking for him. And the guy just got up and looked at me and walked away. And he went and got somebody from the back. Weird. So she comes out. She's a social worker. And she said he's in ICU. Obviously, as a mother, your heart sinks even more. ICU, like, this is terrifying. Then I get up there and they won't let me in the room. And then they tell me it was on the news. And this is what I find. That's his car. That silver thing, not the purple. I'm sorry, not the blue, not the red. That silver is his car. They didn't expect him to live. Long story short, I will get more into the medical thing if you would like me to. His friend passed away. And she was a 17-year-old girl. He was only 18. I find out later and I just collapsed in the hospital. My son went through tons and tons of rehab. My son came home in a wheelchair. Well, fast forward a year, my son was charged with manslaughter. He is now sitting in a prison. This is how that's not working. This is how I now talk to my child. Please speak to your children. My son was just speeding. He sped through a light and it caused an accident. And now my son is serving 3.5 years in a prison.
Never, ever, ever trust a man. Always trust your instincts. It doesn't matter what comes out of his mouth, you don't trust him, especially when he says, I will not drop you on the dance floor. A couple weekends ago, I went to Colorado. We're having a great time. We go out to a country bar. I feel right at home. I feel like Sandy Cheeks down there in the ocean in her little air bubble. And some old boy comes up and asks me to dance. I'm a few Jim Beams in, and I say yes. We go out to the dance floor, and we're spinning around doing our thing. He's a pretty good dancer. I'm a good dancer. Towards the end of the second song, old boy says, well, do you know how to dip? And I said, no. He said, well, let me teach you. And I said, you're batting 0 for 2 right now because that's also a no. He said, come on, just let me teach you. I said, big boy, this big girl does not dip. I don't dip because I don't come back up. It's just a fall. It's a drop. And he said, well, come on, just let me teach you. I'm a big boy. I promise I won't drop you. The lie detector said that was a lie. I'll be damned. He spun me out, spun me back in, goes to dip me and drops me flat on my back. And I'm laying there and I swear if I could have just sunk into the floor and been one with the floor, that's what I'd have done. But instead, I'd look just like a damn speed bump laying there on the dance floor, like caution, slow down. Big girl can't dance.